Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hussain Qazi here, the facilitator for the subject AFM, Strategic Advanced Financial Management, SBR, Strategic Business Reporting, FM, Financial Management, and the limited part of Strategic Business Leadership with the course collaborated with Kashif Kamran. Okay, so today the session about AFM talk. So you people must have to aware about that. I have initiated a forum that's called AFM talk. The prime purpose of that particular forum is to make a regular communication with the students and try to overcome the gap between the students' actual preparation and the examiner expectation, because to passing for the sake of the exam passing criteria, this is not just important that what a student do, rather than important is that what's actually the examiner expectation. And you people know very well that recently the ACCA have changed the structure of the examination for strategic professional exams for the optional exams, particularly to AFM, APM, and AAA. And they have introduced 20 professional marks like SBL exam within the paper. And I am here to discuss with my AFM talk platform about the discussion related to how this structure, how 20 professional marks will examine with the examination hall, with the AFM exam. And I will also provide you support with this session that how you cover the things during the preparation. So once again, this platform AFM talk is actually about developing a bridge the student actual preparation and the examiner expectation. Students, you must have to know very well that you have to aware about this. The ACCA exam, and specifically to AFM, it's not just only about the technical knowledge of the syllabus, but also the professional skills. So the success of AFM, it's now based on technical knowledge and simultaneously the professional skills. And must have to remember that these 20 professional marks actually embed with the technical aspects. That is not any separate marks. It's already indulged with your technical questions part. Previously, the professional marks, the examiner expecting or the examiner attached previously before September 20 till June 22, that just 4 professional marks. Just 4 professional marks. But now the professional marks allocation becomes 20 marks. The platform of AFM talk, it's not only about the discussion related to how handle the professional marks, but also time by time we will discuss to handle the technical points as well. You people must have to join the WhatsApp group of AFM talk, where we do regular communication about different areas of the syllabus, time by time, but a short discussions and the concrete point of discussion on the forum. I will appreciate if you regularly participate your inputs with that platform. Moreover, my registered students already part of my classroom. That's the separate group for the students who have registered for the course. So the AFM Talk Forum, it's all the people. So I especially request to all of you people must have to join this WhatsApp group. Must have to join this WhatsApp group. So let's start the today's AFM Talk agenda. That is about how to handle, sorry, that is about number one, what is about professional marks, how examiner will examine the professional marks. Number two, how to handle the professional marks during the exam. Now come on, let's start. Can you please reply me once again about the clarity of my voice, visualization of the screen, and visualization of my video as well. By the way, screen right now mentioning a very green background about something like the forest and the green. Okay, now come on. The document I have already shared with you. Yes, this document I've already shared with you. I've already shared that particular document on the AFM Talk platform, the WhatsApp group, and as well on my WhatsApp classroom. This is what about a comprehensive document about professional skill marks related to advanced financial management. Now come on, one by one. The first very important thing. AFM new professional skills marks. That is from September 22. A major change of ACCA AFM strategic professional options exam, as well as for APM and AAA as well. The plan for the ACCA for ATX, it's for incorporating the strategic professional, the professional skill marks for ATX. It's by 2023. Now, number one by one, very precisely, this document is very much precise, and I will discuss some a limited question part as well, the later part of that particular session. This one with the structure of the question as well. Number one, exam format. Your exam format for all optional exams are standard. That is section A, 1 question, 50 marks. Section B, 2 questions, 25 marks each. So that is the 100 marks question. So the format of the exam remains same. Section A, B, section A, 50 marks, 1 question. Section B, 25 marks, 2 questions. Okay, but what about the marking structure? That is the new change. The balance of technical and professional skill marks as follows. The total 100 marks exam, now split total 80 marks technical and 20 professional marks. 20 professional marks. Now further allocation. How this 20 professional marks will allocate over this section A and B. How this 20 professional marks allocate over A and B, section A and B. The section A, which is 50 marks question, include 10 professional marks. And section B, 25 marks, 2 questions, and having each question maximum of 5 professional marks. Maximum of 5 professional marks. Means examiner particularly mentioned, we will provide you the total 7 professional marks for each question, but the student can get maximum 5 marks. Means range of marks is higher, that is 7, but you can avail maximum 5. So here a simple scenario is that 10 professional marks belongs to section A, 50 marks question, and the 5 marks for each 25 marks question. More detail I'm going to discuss here. First of all, you must have to reply. Are you people happy till now? Is that clear? What is about the format? What is about the format? Can you please reply me? That's good. Now, what's the examiner expectation related to the professional skills exam? What professional skills they are expecting with us? What professional skills they are expecting with us? The professional skills they wanted to incorporate with the questions as follows: the skills of communication, the skills of analysis and evaluation, the skill of skepticism, and the skill of business acumen or the commercial acumen. So do remember that examiner not provide you any specific individual requirement of any one or any two. Examiner expecting with some different manner. And listen carefully. How these professional, the above professional skills will be examined. Number one, all four will examine with section A question. Means 50 marks question, all 4 professional skills will be examined. The 50 marks first question required to apply your professional skills in terms of communication, analysis and evaluation, skepticism, and commercial acumen, 100%. But how that will apply, I will discuss this point accordingly a little bit later the moment. And do remember, these 4 actually attach with the overall question, either the 50 marks question or either about the 25 marks question. But for 25 marks question, not all will examine, but either 1 or either 3. This is actually attached the overall question rather than any individual requirement. Rather than any individual requirement. Section B, 25 marks, 2 questions. 3 professional skills will be examined. Here, 3 professional skills. Which 3 professional? Analysis, skepticism, and commercial acumen. Analysis, evaluation, skepticism, and commercial acumen. That's the point. For section A, all 4. For section B, analysis, skepticism, commercial acumen. Which means communication, the skill of communication only examined with section A, and rest of the 3 professional skills will examine every part of the paper, every question of the paper. ACCA, I'm sorry. Now, have a look how these questions or how these professional skills will examine. ACCA has published 3 supportive papers for the students. Number 1, AFM specimen, and number 2 and 3, AFM practice questions. So this is about AFM specimen. AFM specimen from September 22 onwards. For example, this is the first question, and this is what the requirement about. This is what the requirement about. This is requirement A. Requirement A. This is requirement B. This is requirement C. Do remember that for AFM, one of the core requirement part related to report. Core requirement part. For example, A part 7 marks, C part 6 marks, and other than professional marks, the technical marks having 40 marks. 40 marks. So out of 40, 7 related to A part, that is not report. 6, that is not report. So 7 plus 6 is 13. Out of 14, if you less 13, so remaining 27 part related to report. Related to report. And examiner expecting to apply for ABC all 3. For ABC for all 3, the professional skills. Professional skills. And here examiner mentioned that professional marks awarded for demonstration skill in communication, analysis, evaluation, skepticism, and commercial acumen. 4 apply with question 1. Communication, analysis and evaluation, skepticisms, commercial acumen. And this is 10 marks. So important thing is that examiner will not examine part for individual requirements. No, rather than collective requirement. And this communication, it's only examined with question 1 and for question 1 related to report. What I said specifically, this communication is actually only associated with section A question, and in section A question, only associated with the report part of the question. Because including communication, that means the report structure and so on as well. So communication, main part related to the report writing. But after a little moment, after some minutes with this session, I will tell you as well that what are the details of these communication, analysis, evaluation. But hold on. Wait a moment. So right now we are just observing with the specimen exam. Furthermore, if we go towards the section B, requirement 25 marks question, Colvin. A part, B part, 14, 6. And independently mention the 5 marks, professional marks awarded for demonstrate communication acumen, analysis, skepticism, and evaluations in your answer. So this 5 marks, it's actually about related to A and B collectively. And same for this one. 25 marks, another question. Bolyan. 2 requirements of technical, 14 plus 6, 20. And 5 marks again, professional marks awarding to demonstration, commercial acumen, analysis, skepticism, and evaluations. That is a point. Now come up with more details. More details. Number 1, there is no standard combination. Standard means marks are not necessarily being evenly split across the skills being tested. We cannot say that examiner will allocate the marks for these 4 skills in evenly manner. It depends on the scenario, that what combination skills are examined and how the marks will allocate. And the very, very, very important point, professional skills will examine as interconnected and tied to the technical requirement. If someone asks that, set professional skills 20 marks, technical 80, I don't have any plan, I don't want to learn about the professional skills, and I will leave the 20 marks, I will perfectly attempt only the technical marks. So do remember that if you do that type of if you make that type of blunder, examiner will not pass you, will not consider your exam as a qualifier. Even out of 80, you have done 70 marks perfect. You will not be able to pass your exam if you not incorporate the professional skills with technical skills. In simple words, for example, if your director, you are a manager of the company, and your director have given you the task that after 10 days, you have to present a report in front of the board meeting. You have to present a report in front of the board meeting about the new product launching. And after 10 days, you are very much technically sound. But you haven't made your presentation properly. So you just enter to the boardroom and try to present something, and even you know very well, you are technically very much sound. You know just by yourself that I am very good, but you are not capable to present your technical knowledge in front of the board, in front of your boss, in front of the relevant audience. So what do you say? Is this really the right thing? Is this really the professional behavior with the corporate world? The same thing examiner wants to learn. The people, the ACC candidates, not just only the technically sound, but also able to develop their professional skills in terms of communication, in terms of analysis and evaluation, in terms of business sense, business acumen, and in terms of skepticisms. That means the challenge the thing accordingly. And examine the things in a collective manner. You know very well that in the financial management, in the AFM, you apply the technical knowledge, you apply the models, for example, NPV, for example, IRR, for example, free cash flows, multiple things. If you start the preparation, just the basic things, NPV method, NPV, basic NPV method, IRR method, CAPM, they have multiple assumptions. So you use multiple assumptions. So you must be able to evaluate the scenario in terms of NPV, the profitability. You have to develop ability not only to listen the things, but also challenge the things. Because the models you are using having number of assumptions. You use the tax rates and assuming that tax rate will applicable over the time period. But it may possible that in the current scenario of the world, a lot of countries changed the tax rates. So if you challenge the assumption, that called skepticism. Skepticism means probing, investigating, challenging the information. If you really want to apply the product, what should be the timeline? Is, for example, you wanted to invest a project in a country where the political situation is not sound, and expecting that this election will be made after 6 months, where number of political parties are involved. So there are some political instability for the current 6 months. So if your chief executive officer saying that we need to enter the country right now, we need to invest our money in that country right now, what you will say? This is not the commercially sound business sense that we are going right now, rather than because of political instability. It's much better to hold the investment and delay the investment for 6 months. Where political stability will settle, then we will move accordingly. This is what about challenge and commercial sound as well. Students, are you getting the point what I'm saying? Can you please reply me? Is there any question till now? You can ask me. Except what these 4 professional skill means and how this apply. Till now, whatever I have said, is that clear to all of you? Thank you, Numan. Now the point is that, thank you very much. Okay. The details of the professional skills, I'm going to drive it. I'm going to discuss the details of the point with the next phase. Yes. Now, the another point, the professional skills. The another point, the professional skills. There are 4 particular professional skills points. Number 1, the communication. Sir, what does that mean, communication? The communication professional skills only relevant for question 1, the 50 marks question. Yes, this you must have to know that question 1 having substantial mark related to report writing. And this communication is actually about the report. It's actually about the report. So how you will catch your professional skill marks? The communication. The very important thing is that what the communication, the professional skills, communication, the professional skills, communication in AFM is about. Your report must look as a professional aspect. The look of the report must be at professional. Number one, your report structure must be headed and subheaded. Headed and subheaded. You have, the structure of the report. Structure means to the board of director, subject to the board of director, to the board of director of the company, date, the subject of the report, and then the headings, the heading of introduction, the heading of the main body of the reports. For example, evaluation, the NPV, assumptions of the NPV. For example, the communication of chief executive officer in the question mentioning, then heading with the conclusion, and then mentioning by your designation, for example, by CFO. You are a CFO of the company. So must be headed. There should be introduction, which is about a briefing of what is about the report, the content of the report. Proper conclusion. What is the meaning of diplomatic? We will discuss with the regular sessions. Your conclusion must be diplomatic. I will discuss later. Number one. So this is what structure of the report. Number two, look professional. Look professional here means if you are making a report, so number one, part B, report to board of directors, date, subject, introduction, that is must be brief, and you have to start. The report is about so, and the report is about the evaluation of the project, where we have evaluated the project by the NPV method. And you have to mention NPV method appendix 1. Where is the appendix? Here, spreadsheet is your appendix. A spreadsheet, your appendix. This is appendix. That is appendix 1. And here you calculate the NPV. It's just an example. It's just an example. So number one, the most important thing, that's calculation mentioned as appendix in the spreadsheet. That's important. Number two, use spreadsheet functions like shortcuts of IRR or NPV. Like shortcuts of IRR and NPV. Means examiner mentioning that with the spreadsheet, if you are using a spreadsheet, we will encourage if you use shortcut. For example, you are working with IRR. So IRR, the future cash flows, for example, investment. The investment minus 1500. Returns year 1. Year 2. Year 3. Year 4. And you have to mention, for example, 450, 300, 300, 450, 500, 700. And you want to work with the IRR. Examiner particularly mentioned that if you want to work out with the IRR, so use shortcut. IRR bracket open is 1. That is 10%. This is what IRR. If you will not use this as IRR, if you will not use this IRR methods, shortcuts, examiner particular mentioned that you are actually discouraging to the examiner and the marks will deduct accordingly. Same case, if with this future cash flows, you have to calculate discount rate, for example, with the 7%. So you have to work out is equal to NPV, shortcut 0.1, bracket open, this one plus this. Or let's suppose the discount rate, for example, sorry. Yes, this one, 115.67. You have to use this shortcut. That is what mentioning here. Use spreadsheet functions like shortcuts of IRR. The topic B SOP, examiner will add another spreadsheet function. Another. B SOP is very complicated with in terms of the calculations, all these. Examiner mentioned for B SOP, we will provide you separate spreadsheet function where all complications of the functions logged with the cell, you just incorporate the figures accordingly. And in fact, examiner also already published a paper, an exam paper with the Talam as a specimen paper and have given you, just a minute. Yes, this one. Looking here. If examiner is asking for something B SOP, so this B SOP calculator spreadsheet already given. This just introduced with September 20 onward, 22 onwards. Here, the cell already logged. These are the variables, different variables. These are the different variables. You just enter the thing accordingly. Enter the thing accordingly. You just put the PA variable, PE variable, for example, PA5, PE3, let's suppose R 0.01, time 2, standard deviation 0.5. Automatically, if you put the things, all the value automatically work out here. All the value automatically work out. You just enter the data, that's all. Are you getting the point what I'm saying? Here, examiner, particular mention with the BSOP. That is what about BSOP matter. So this is what about look professional. And the point of body of the report. Body means the text. This is what about the structure, na? Structure, calculations. But if you are writing the thing, how the language or the tone you will use, the tone of the report must be logical, concise, clear, and progressive. Logical means based on the scenario, makes sense. Concise means relevant. Concise but clear. And progressive means if something about the strategy to launch the project. Progressive, that is futuristic. And do remember, your report writing or all of your questions must include all relevant requirements and adhere to any specific instruction mentioned in the question. For example, if examiner asking you with the requirement, for example, this one, prepare a report, and you have to carefully read the requirement. Carefully. For example, B, requirement 1, requirement 2, requirement 3. Here, assess whether the project should be undertaken using result from, and here examiner mentioned discuss the assumption. So this 8 marks having 2 parts. Number 1, assess. Number 2, discuss assumptions. So this is the point. Relevant to the requirement and also adhere to any specific instruction mentioned in the question. So you must ensure that I have done all with the requirements. And the very important thing, avoid repetition. Avoid repetition means once you have already written something, some point here with the requirement, you don't need to rephrase the thing and same point with the another wordings. It's just like avoid repetition. The point number 1, you have already mentioned something about related to assumption number 1. Assumption number 2, it's not about the repetition of the point. That's important. Candidates, can you please reply me? Are you happy till now? I mean that, have you got the things? That is the first thing I've discussed with you. That is the communication. There's a question that how to link the word with the Excel. No need to link with the word with the spreadsheet. If you wanted to make any reference of the calculation that you have done with the spreadsheet, you just put the reference number. For example, appendix 1, appendix 2, or you mention that appendix 1 refer to spreadsheet, appendix 2 refer to spreadsheet. That is the point. all the report writing matter and the theoretical aspect must be part of the word. Must be part of the word. Okay. Now, next point. The analysis and evaluation. What does that mean? Analysis and evaluation. Analysis and evaluation. This is what the part related to all AFM questions. You people know very well that AFM subject, it's about numbers. It's about numbers. But do remember that this subject is actually the combination of theory and calculation. And in fact, I say to my students that this is actually the theoretical based calculation. So you cannot ignore the theoretical aspect. You cannot ignore the theoretical aspect. The theoretical aspects are very much important. That's very much important, the theoretical aspects. But the theoretical aspects based on calculations, And in AFM, if someone asks that analysis and evaluation. So analysis is actually about, it's actually about numbers. It's actually about numbers. And the evaluation is actually about determine some conclusion based on the analysis. So first thing is that you people know very well the question, for example, any of the question. Let's suppose this one. This is one of the question. I'm not reading the question. This is what about the question. The question includes the scenario, detailed scenario, and evaluation of the project. This is what about the evaluation. This is something about APV, like NPV question. Investment appraisal question by APV method, investment appraisal. So these are the data of the questions, a lot of data of the question. I mean, that is something investment, that is something about the beta calculations. So if any of the question having number of data within the question. So what does the analysis means? Analysis means you correctly extract the data and after extraction summarize or structure that data in some informative way. Now recall your studies of FM, or like this question I was mentioning here. If I say that this is the question of NPV, so that means there are a lot of data here. I want to correctly extract the data. Here I will correctly extract the data and that particular data convert or process in a manner to develop an information called NPV. That data process and develop a structure way, that is called NPV. So analysis means how well I have correctly structured the data into NPV structure or into APV structure or any other method, that called analysis. So analysis means here analysis, correctly use data or information. For example, one of the question of NPV here, and listen carefully. Assume that you are the part of the practical world. You are a you are a manager, I am your director. I have given you some information or some data, and I say to you that, okay, use the data and analyze that either to make investment or not. So number one, you have what you have done, you have collect all the data, all the information I've given to you, and you sort out the data and structure with the NPV manner in a right manner. So your analysis is complete with respect to correctly use data information. And at the end, the NPV becomes, for example, positive. You say to me that, you mention in your report or you mention in the writing that, sir, you have given me information and I have already structured information, that is called analysis. But whatever the information you have given to me is something missing. For example, you are saying that investment of the project, and you have given me the data of projected sales. But the environment of the economy, by next 2 years, having two different probabilities. Maybe the economy become in a recession position, or maybe the economy is in a position of the stable, on either the stable economy or the recession. There are two possible chances, but you haven't given me the chances or the probability or any clue like this. So this type of points, I will say, with my analysis, identifying the missing information for further analysis. Or you can say to me, sir, based on your given data, I have analyzed the situation in NPV format, but you haven't given me to process the information and missing for the sensitivity analysis. So that is what about analysis. If I continue my example here, and if I say that, okay, your analysis is done, and I have given you some more information about the sensitivity analysis, about the probability, expected value. After that, you and me are sitting together and we are going to evaluate. Evaluate means whatever the analysis we have made about the NPV, sensitivity analysis, all this thing, we have to make a conclusion. We have to make a conclusion. But do remember that conclusion doesn't mean only that NPV positive accept, NPV negative reject. No. The professional way of conclusion is that if we write something of the conclusion, that should be demonstrated with as a justified conclusion. I will write my answer in some wordings. I will write the answer based on the information available and the current strategy of the company for the expansion of the business. We have analyzed that particular investment opportunity where the NPV positive, although having some assumptions, although the situation is going to economy having the recession aspect, but all these consideration, we have concluded that the NPV is huge positive. There's a market gap and so on. So the project should be accepted. So the word should be accepted or rejected must having a background, a justified, suitable, justified background. This is called suitable conclusion. This is called suitable conclusion. And definitely, what is about financial management? What is about financial management? Financial management is all about the decisions, making the decision for the sake of the shareholders' wealth maximization. For the sake of shareholders' wealth maximization. So the very important thing is that whatever we are doing, for example, if we are for the working of investment appraisal. So at the end, I must say the positive NPV and accepting of the decision impact on the shareholders' wealth. Positive. If the situation, I was say in this particular session, I provided you the example multiple about the investment, but maybe the course, maybe the question is about finance, not the investment, but finance. The topic is about what is the right source of finance here and make some decision. So we are conclusion, suitable, justified conclusion. And final wording is that this particular source of finance, either the debts or equity, is supportive because its relevance, it's a positive impact to the entity in terms of debt capacity. Debt capacity means, yes, we have a potential to get more loans because our capital structure having only 20% debts, but the rest of the industry having 40% debts. So we have a margin, we have a capacity to get the loans. So number one, a simple word, analysis means analysis means here transform the data into a structured calculation way, and that is about calculation. So right calculation means you have incorporated right data into right structure. So analysis is about more about calculation. Evaluation means your justified suitable justified calculation, suitable justified conclusion, and incorporating the impacts on the shareholders' wealth and entities as well. That is the point. So candidates, this is the second point, that's the analysis. These two I've discussed here. Further two, and this is what about the more challenging, skepticism and business acumen or commercial acumen. But before that, something cautious I've mentioned here. For calculations, always use shortcuts as mentioned above. If analysis is about more about calculations, very good. It's more about calculations. So I must say, don't forget to use shortcuts. And do remember, whenever we are doing any calculations, whenever we are doing any question, the question having some background. It's not only about the NPV calculation directly, having some background. So you have to read that background very carefully. That's why here I mentioned that. And analysis and evaluation is contextual. Must consider the situation in which organization in the question operates. Maybe the question about service industry, maybe about manufacturing industry, maybe non-profitable organizations. So you have to consider the analysis and evaluation based on what context. That's very important. That will definitely support you for the writing. Most of the students just ignore what the background of the question, just focusing on to get the numbers. No, only consideration of the numbers will not support you qualify the paper or to pass the paper. It's about to read the question carefully and apply the things accordingly with the context. So that is about communication. That is about analysis, evaluation. Now it's a time for skepticism. Now take a 10 minutes break. Take a 10 minutes break. Then I will tell you about the skepticisms, business acumen, and also take a small example how to handle the thing. Okay, take a 10 minutes break. Thank you. Okay, welcome back again. So the next point. So the next point, that is about skepticism. So how this professional skill indulge with the questions. Number one, this particular skill, it's relevant for all exam question, all exam, AFM exam question. But the important point is that the very important point, you have to develop a background before understanding about that, what is or how the skepticism incorporates in the question. The very important thing is that, for example, if you are a finance manager and you are working for some strategy, for example, the investment strategy, and the information given by the management, you people know very well that for any working, including financial management, for any working in the world, including the financial manager, for investment, for finance, for any decision, if we are making some working to decide something, we need some information or we need data. And the decision is based on data or information we are gathering. That information, the quality of that information, it's based on the accuracy, the truthfulness, and the completeness. If we are working with the NPV and I wanted to know the forecast of the sales, so if management tell us about the sales, so that figure, the forecasting, the stats must be accurate. The inflation figures, the growth figures must be accurate without any biasness. That means that must be truth, based on truth. That must be complete data. And this is not only the sales for the NPV. This is not only the NPV for all the decision making in the financial management. And the very important thing, we cannot assume, if we are making a strategy and based on information, that we are, whatever the information we have got, so through whom we collect the data. For example, we are the CFO or the senior finance manager, and the data we have collected from different departments, sales department, research departments. It's not compulsory that they know all the facts. It's not compulsory that that's 100% correct. Then not necessary that they have all relevant information to get that particular data. So very important thing for skepticism, we have to develop our mindset. Whenever we are commenting something, the mindset is that we are actually having the mindset to probe, means to investigate. The manner, the behavior we have to establish, that's to investigate someone, but in a professional way. Balance the situation. You have to, your tone must be as investigative, but don't cross the boundary of professionalism. So that's a very key point. And this is very critical with that particular questions or scenario. Very important. So this is what about the things accordingly. But the point is that uh, how we will catch the skepticism manner or skepticism professional skills within the question. So very important thing is skepticism is something about questioning approach, questioning, challenging. For example, for NPV question, if we are commenting with the with the conclusion, so we will write the things in this manner. Although NPV is positive, but the NPV is based on variables, number of variables, and the variable includes some assumptions. For example, the assumption about the tax rate. The tax rate. The project life is 5 years. Tax rate, we have incorporated the 30% tax rate. But the country we belongs having a disturbing economic situation and expected with the fiscal policy, the government will increase the tax rate. So you have commented, based on this, you have commented that although positive NPV, but the variable use tax rate as a challenge. As a challenge. The point is that here, do remember that whenever you are challenging in the professional life to anyone, and in fact in the social life to anyone, you must have a solid background. If you ask something, how you incorporate the tax rate of 30%, it means you are challenging someone. Your point must be supported with some solid background. So with my statement, using 30%, for example, tax rate, but we belongs, what I support the point, I challenge the question and support with what? Support the question with, support my challenge as the project related to a country where the political instability or the economic stability, so it's may possible that next 5 years, the life of the project, the tax rate will increase, and this will impact on the NPV. That's the point. So this is questioning approach. Same case, you can challenge with different more assumptions you have taken with the questions, the growth rate, the CAPM, and different all things. I'm discussing the things with only investment appraisal most of the time, because it's a very topic. It's a very common topic. You people already covered that. Even not starting the AFM, but you have done with your previous studies as well. So that means skepticism manner or skepticism thing, challenge the information, challenge the assumptions, identify and question about it may possible that within the question you are doing something and some of the statements or some of the informations are contradictory. For example, you have a question with the background. For example, you have a question with the background, that in initial paragraphs, it's mentioned that there was a meeting with the shareholders and shareholders are reluctant to increase the financial risk. That is what the context of the question. And then start the question that the company having the investment opportunity and the details of the investment opportunity and more detail. And this investment opportunity, the CEO company's management proposing the cheaper source of finance, the debts. And the company, and they are, the CEO wants to calculate or investment appraisal by different method, NPV or APV, with that particular debt structure. So what you will say here, anyone reply here? What is the contradiction here? The CEO wants to support this investment with the finance, that's loan. But Initial the paragraph or initial the background is that latest shareholder meetings, they are very much concerned that don't increase the debts. So this contradictory evidence actually creating the agency issue. That is the point. So these are the things that is called the challenge. You can challenge. This is what about the skepticisms. Finally, a very important statement. The purpose of skepticism, the role as skepticism in the paper and the professional world is that we, the finance manager, actually the steward of the shareholder, we have a responsibility to maximize their wealth, to maximize the wealth of shareholder. So our role in the board meeting, our role as a skepticism for the sake of benefit of shareholder. Because if I really want to accept the investment opportunity or any decision, that should be based on properly informed decision. If my lecture mentions that I challenge the tax rate because I wanted that if someone not know about the tax rate changes, so then notice that point, the properly informed decision that the change in the tax rate must incorporate with the NPV. Same case, if someone not notice that we are discussing here to support the project with the finance, if we support with the finance of debt CBER source, if we announce that project, maybe agency issue creates and shareholder reluctant, and that will impact, negative impact on the stock market share price. So that is the point. This is all about apply professional judgment to draw conclusions and make properly informed decisions. Properly informed decision. That is the balanced decision between risk and benefit. Balanced. That is the point. Last point, cautious. Cautious. Cautious means be sensible, be cautious. If you really challenge to someone, you have a strong points to challenge someone. This is what the professional behavior. You must not so aggressive. Even someone going to fraud something, you have a complete information that someone, this is actually not the point of the AFM, it's about the AAA or like this. You identify the fraud as well. You identify the mistake as well. Your tone must not be very much aggressive. Two important points. You must have strong points, strong background points to claim someone, to challenge someone, and must not be aggressive. That is the point about the cases here. If you don't have the information properly, you don't have. So you need to identify further evidence to challenge the question. And must ensure that could any of the issue or is it possible for this challenge that will affect to the final decision? For example, the point I am discussing to challenge, it's not material. It's not material. It's even we identify or challenge someone, and I don't have evidence right now. And even that point, I'm going to challenge someone, that will not affect to the decision. So for that point, no need to spend resources and time to get more informations or to get more evidences. So the justified point for the challenge that you must have a solid background. If you don't have a solid background, first assess that. Even you spend your time and put your energy and put the resources as well. you will get any material impacts accordingly? I don't think so that this point is relevant for the AFM, but it's important for AAA or SBL papers. So this point, but skepticism is important for the AFM. Whatever I discussed with investment appraisal, contacts, questioning, information, and challenge them like this in this point. Okay, are you getting the point? What I'm saying, whatever I've said with the skepticism, are you getting the point? But do remember that actually these all things, these all points, you become able to apply and become master as you apply with the questions accordingly. That's a key point. As more the practice your questions, you will be able to incorporate the thing. The last point. The last point. The last point, the commercial acumen. Once again, the commercial acumen point, it's related to all AFM question. And commercial means business sense. It's about business sense. What is that all about? What is that all about? For any of the business decision we are making, for anyone making the business decision, so that decision must have business sense. Sir, what is the meaning of the business sense? So whoever taking the business decision in the business, the first thing is that the decision is commercial sense when they're aware about the business, when they are aware about the insights, then they will take the effective, means valuable judgment, or effective judgment means valuable decision. For example, I'm a company representative and I suggest to our company that you have to purchase a particular category of software in the company and install that software, a particular category of software within the company. So if I'm going to provide that suggestion for the software, I must have to know what is the activity of that particular business. For example, the business is about banking sector. So I must aware what are the dynamics of the banking sector or banking industry or the banking as a company. Then my suggestion suits of the software to that particular business. Number two, I just not only know about the business awareness of the bank, but also the detail inside about the decision of the software and the decision of sorry, I must have to know in details about the software and details about inside the company. So if apply or if install that software with the bank, I must have to aware that with the detailed insights, the bank will get some value, means the decision has become value addition. If the decision become value addition, that's called effective judgment. That's called the valuable decision. So whatever, this is what about the basic meaning of the commercial sense. Every business decision have business sense. For business sense, awareness about the business, awareness about the decision making I'm taking, that's insights, means that decision making support to the business, that is called insights. And is this value for money, that's called effective judgment. But the point is that how we will get this professional marks in AFM in business acumen. These are the points to consider. Number one, whatever the decision, either investment, either financing, whatever the recommendation will be made, that must be practicable. Means if going to I'm going to recommend to install software, it's practical possible. It's reasonable. For example, this is the right time. If it's practical and reasonable, it's work for entity. It's commercial sensible, not short term, but long term as well. This software installation, the business rationale, the justification, it's not only the financial calculation for the time being, but also it's valuable for the long-term commercial impacts. If we are taking some business decisions, yes, we know that there are some external constraints. For example, availability of the finance. Stock market is depressed. Government restrict the lendings. Interest rate higher one. External constraints we need to consider. And these constraints may impact on the practicability of the project. But external is not about constraint. External is about opportunities as well. If economy is depressed, some of the industry is growing. For example, currency's devaluation. Currency devaluation continuously constrained. Currency devaluation, on the other hand, there is a bright opportunity to export. Because if we do export more, the conversion rate impact to more amount in the local currency to exporters. Maybe some internal constraints, but all of your approach must be long term. Long term means forward looking approach. It's all about business sense. Business sense means if something we are implementing the decision that is about value for the money, for the business, not the short term, but the long term. And is this practicable and reasonable to do that? Considering all the constraints, internal, external, and opportunities as well. So these are some cautious points about that. And these cautious points are that whenever we make our business decisions, that is always about the background of the company. That's already mentioned above. Awareness of the business, awareness of the environment, all these things. You have to put some effective judgment, and finally, not the short-term aspect, but also the long-term aspects. So this is what the point about. I must say here at the end, I must say one important thing. I'm discussing a limited example here. For example, there is a question. For example, there is a question of NPV. There is a question of NPV here. For example, this one is the question. One of the question you have, and you have done with the NPV. You have done with the NPV. So number one, if you have done with this NPV, with the spreadsheet or the Excel, for example, a spreadsheet, this is, although it's a FM question, no worries about that. Like, assuming that this is a limited part of question of AFM. You have done with the contribution, tax, depreciation, all these things, supported with the working 1, 2, 3, 4, all these things, working structure. And you have calculated the net cash flow here. This is the net cash flow. And for NPV, you apply the shortcut. That is equal to NPV discount rate here 12% is equal to NPV 0.12, comma, these are the cash flows plus this one. That is NPV. If you have done this, so actually, if you have done this with this presentation, with this structure, and you have mentioned that this is NPV appendix 1, for example, you mentioned that this is appendix 1, and all of your workings, these are the workings. You mentioned that appendix 2, that is workings. If you mention this, and your presentation is good, you use the shortcut. So that means your presentation in terms of appendix and workings number 2, you use the spreadsheet functions. This will affect you. You will be able to professional marks for communication. For communication. This is a basic example. This is professional. Professional marks for communication. For example, if you use the proper report structure, sorry, yes, for example, this is proper report structure. Report to the board of directors, introduction, this is introduction paragraph, headings. Here mention for the question, assess, and mention your the appendix as well, all these things. You haven't ignored the particular requirement of the examiner, its particular mentions, assumptions, all the assumptions here. And then proper conclusion, this is conclusion. And then report compiled file, all these things. If you have made the report as well. So I must say, the third one, report format. This is what about the professional communication marks. Number 1. Number 2, for example, if you are commenting someone, for example, if you are your conclusion, a specific remark, sorry, professional marks for assessment analysis and evaluation. Number one, listen carefully. Number one, use correctly the data or information for NPV calculation. You will be able to get the marks for analysis. Number two, for example, if you comment a specific comment, the project with negative, let's say an example, not about the question, negative NPV negative NPV, for example, minus $119 million. Must not be accepted. So this point, class, very important. This particular point is actually about evaluation. Number three, for example, professional marks for business acumen. Listen carefully, business acumen. For example, you mentioned that although project have negative NPV, but need to consider or I mentioned that, but in addition, the consideration of real options, could enhance the value of the project and the decision become acceptable. Business acumen means business sense, some business approach, business rationale. Although project is not acceptable, but may be possible if we enter this project, with this project, some more opportunities will open. We need to evaluate more opportunities with the term real options. If you haven't covered the real options, don't worry. You will cover the syllabus later part. But this is what business acumen. Business acumen means identify some more option. Last point. Professional marks for skepticism. Professional marks for skepticism. For example, for any of the project, for example, project have positive NPV. Project is having positive NPV. You mentioned the project is acceptable. Listen carefully. With positive NPV, but, or I must say, however, sensitivity analysis should be carried out. Means you are challenging here. Should be carried out on the key variables. So, questioning approach, questioning. Although project is acceptable, but we need to consider more risk and uncertainty issue. We have to incorporate more risk and uncertainty issues like sensitivity analysis, like expected values, like more things, value at risk, advanced method of AFM, like Monte Carlo simulation methods. So this, you don't need to make headings for these like these things. No need to put headings. That professional marks for business acumen, professional marks for skepticism, for evaluations. No. I just highlight the point. So what do you say? You will write the thing in a single or two paragraphs, the points. So actually the technical knowledge and professional skills, technical skills and professional skills are simultaneously covered with the questions. Candidates, that is all about this session. I hope that this session, it's having this session actually provide a value addition to you people. What is about professional marks, how to incorporate the things, that's very important. At last, I must say, with professional skills, ACCA has published 3 exam papers. Number 1, AFM specimen, and number 2, AFM practice exam 1, practice exam 2. And that is available with this ACCA, my ACCA portal. So thank you very much about this. If you are watching my video live, you must have to comment about this particular session. If the session having total 10 points, you must have to give me the rank. Out of 10, what do you rank? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you people are watching the video on the YouTube later on, you must have to approach me through the WhatsApp, through the WhatsApp group accordingly. So WhatsApp number you can work out 00923218271784. I really appreciate. You must have to keep in touch with me with AFM Talk on the WhatsApp group. The WhatsApp group, if you don't have WhatsApp group, you can ask me on my WhatsApp number. And you must have to give rank to me on the WhatsApp group Talk, AFM Talk. So I will really appreciate if you give me the feedback in terms of out of 10. What do you rank? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever you wanted to give the rank about this. If you have any question, thank you very much. So that is the point what I have discussed with you. If you have any more question, you can ask me accordingly. I will appreciate if you share me your feedback on the WhatsApp group. Rather than with this platform, you have to share me your feedback, your input on the WhatsApp group. Now, thank you very much. Take care a lot. Assalamu alaikum.